I'm Alex from I'm Fluent. Today we're going to review the topic simple past. What we have to remember about this tense is that we do have a couple of types of verbs. We have the regular verbs and the irregular verbs. The regular verbs are the ones that end in ed, while the irregular verbs are the ones that have other types of endings. For example, GHT, as in the word but. After saying that, in order for you to be aware on how to use the simple past, first thing is that it's about like communicating things that already happened. Maybe like we use signal words as yesterday or last night or a few minutes ago or the last decade. So we have those signal words. And we have the regular verbs and we have the irregular verbs. Let me do it a little bit smaller so it doesn't take all the space from our whiteboarding. I think we're good there. So the regular and irregular. There are no specific rules on how to know if a verb is irregular or not, but we have some terminations or endings as the one that I mentioned before, GHT, as in the verb but, or as in here, we use a very simple one, which is play, and what we do is we just add the letters ed, and there we have a regular verb in the simple past due to the reason that it's ending in ed. There are also some elements to take into account, as if a verb already finishes in the letter E, we just add the letter D. We do not add another E and then add D. In regards to the irregular verbs, let me put one that we're going to use the sentences or the examples for. But, yeah? And I'm also gonna underline these, which is quite common to see as in the irregular verbs, but we have many more. We're gonna start with the different types of sentences. We have three types, which are the affirmative sentences, the negative sentences, and the interrogative sentences. Affirmative sentences. As this is not pre-recorded, but obviously you can watch it as many times as you can see, there may be some errors, but they will be immediately corrected. So just a little bit of tolerance with that, as I am explaining while I'm writing. The affirmative sentences also are divided in the ones that use the verb to be and the ones that use the other verbs. So for example, an affirmative sentence in the simple past could be my sister was at the mall. My sister was at the mall. When was she at the mall? Yesterday. So we can also add signal words. Maybe that would be better. My sister was at the mall yesterday. There we go. And don't forget to add the period so it's grammatically correct. I'm gonna highlight was or underline, as this is the verb to be in the simple past, was. If it would be not with the third person as my sister or she or Karen, it would have to use the verb to be conjugated in its correct form, and it would be where. So for example, let me just control copy this same sentence, and I'm gonna put you as the viewer. You were at the mall yesterday. That's for the verb to be. If we use other verbs, it could be, for example, the one that we mentioned before, played. We just have to put it here, and we're gonna put another signal word, not yesterday, but maybe last night. And we're gonna start with that signal word. So last night, let's put it here. You played soccer. Very good. There we have it. Last night you played soccer. Very good. And we have the ed as it is a regular verb, added the ed to the simple present form, which would be play. But now here it's played, so that's why it's a simple past and it's a regular verb sentence in affirmative. And now for the irregular, let me copy the same verb, but, and I'm gonna put here something that I would have loved to do yesterday, but I didn't. So let's change yesterday. Let's put last year I bought a new laptop. Last night I bought a new laptop. So you can see that in the affirmative sentence, we just write the verb in its irregular form because it's bought, it finishes in GHT, and that's the affirmative sentence with an irregular verb in the simple past. I hope this is working for you in order to understand how to approach this tense. The best way now would be for you to practice. There are thousands of options to practice. You have web pages, you have apps, you have like lots of different tools in the computer, in the cell phone, on a tablet. You have like these Alexa system where you can talk to it and ask questions in the simple past. But before that, let's continue with the content of today's class, which is the simple past in its three different types of sentences. Therefore, let me just copy here and let's go back to number 2, where I will place the negative sentences. And for the negative sentences, what we have to take into account in the simple past, remember that that's today's topic, it's that we do have a couple of differences depending on which type of negative sentence we use. If it's one with the verb to be, or if it's one with another verb. So for example, I was not in my house last evening. Yeah? And what I want to show you here is that we have these elements as in was, as in not, and that's wasn't. It could be the same. That wasn't is just the contraction. So we have to add 1 plus 2. Was not or wasn't in my house last evening. And this is for the verb to be. But if we do have one that uses another verb, maybe it could be a regular verb. For example, one verb besides played could be I did not washed my car last evening. I really didn't do it. Therefore, we have the elements here 1, 2 plus 3. And I can see here a mistake. As I told you before, we just erased this, and it would be did not watch. And I can erase also this there, because it already has its past form in this, in did not or didn't. Therefore, we don't use the ed here. So it's not past and past. It would be past and present. But the whole sentence is in the simple past, and this is with a regular verb. And the same applies if we do have a sentence with an irregular verb. For example, buy. So I did not buy a car last evening. So once again, we have here number 1, number 2, plus number 3 without the ed for the negative sentences. So did not buy or didn't buy. It's exactly the same. I hope that you are trying to understand this. I'm trying to give it in the simplest manner, because this can be kind of confusing. But after practice, believe me, it's not going to be anymore. So we're going to open one more slide, and I will copy the same as the title and the subtitle. So it's a little bit faster, the process. And instead of the negative sentences, I'm going to put the questions or interrogative sentences. The interrogative sentences are to ask. For example, did you travel to Jamaica last summer? I'm gonna just go all the way up front and put did for every single pronoun. Did you, did I, did we, did they, did Mary, did Joseph, did Martina and Mario. So it works for all. Did you travel to Jamaica last summer? Remember, for English, we only have the closing interrogative mark or question mark. We do not use the opening one. So let me highlight. We have element number 1, did. Element number 2, the personal pronoun. In this case, it's you, but it can be either did you, or did Mary, or did the dog, or did my beautiful girlfriend. So depends on what you want to say. And number 3, again, you can see here, and this is like the independent if you use a regular or irregular verb. Number 3 will always be in its simple form. Travel. So did you travel to Jamaica last summer? I do want to point out that this is like very important for you to know as like the basic structure. But yeah, the best way to approach it would be if you practice, practice, and practice. Therefore, I'm gonna share the link in the lower, I mean with today's class link of a very interesting web page, which is free, and you can practice with thousands of exercises. It's called Agenda Web. And once you put on the web, on your browser, Agenda Web, you just put, in this case, simple past. Remember, this is online. So Agenda Web plus the grammar topic that you are practicing. So in this case, it would be simple past. And today we have checked, yeah, in the interrogative format, we have checked the simple past for the negative sentences, and we have also checked the simple past for the affirmative sentences. Remembering that we have regular verbs, the ones that end in ed, the ones that are added, unless the verb already ends in a e, we just add the letter d. And the irregular verbs, that have different endings. One of the ones that are quite common is GHT, but you have others as well. For example, the verb drink, the simple past of the verb, it's drank. So we changed the A instead of writing it with an I. So we need to like a little bit of memorizing process to remember how are those verbs structured or conjugated. And yeah, I do want also to show, or well, to tell you about another page that can be very useful, and it's exactly for that. So I'm gonna also add this link at the end. Don't worry about it, but it would be conjugator. Uh-huh. Um, a conjugator can be pretty useful in these situations where you're still not that clear on how to address it. Therefore, I do want to thank you very much for all your patience as well as your tolerance and time. I wish you the very best in your English improvement process, and keep updated. Subscribe to the channel because we're gonna keep uploading lots and lots of content. Um, Saying that, I wish you the very best once again. Bye bye.